What's going on, guys? Happy Easter. I'm going to do a little bit of TA on Bitcoin, Dash, and BCH in this video. So, looking at Bitcoin here, we talked about this in one of my previous videos that's marked BCH, BTC, DXY, whatever, all that TA. And I talked about this being a big bull flag potentially. And when we were up in this range, I was saying how, of course, if we broke this and was able to find support on here, we'd be heading up to this upper resistance trend line here, which could be around 6,600 to 6,500. And if we were to break down, it's possible we could get a bounce somewhere in this $5,700, which, at the time I had it lined up with around here, 56.7. But I had to move it down because that's where we ended up bouncing off of. But either way, this bottom support here lines up perfectly with all of these wicks here that we had a hard time getting above. And then we came down, we double bottomed, then we blasted through it, and so on and so forth. So this is that choppiness that we had up in this upper box here. So, we needed some type of big bounce here to get enough momentum to break through and hopefully break through it all. Now, as of right now, where we stand, we're around this 58,433, and I have this resistance box up at 58,425. So as of right now, we're above it a little bit. So of course, we would need to get an hourly candle close above here and maybe see some confirmation up in this range here. Right now, the volume's a little bit low, so people aren't trusting it, which makes sense. You can see all these moving averages kind of coming down, but this 1 hour is starting to turn a little bit. As of right now, we have bearish divergence here on this 1 hour, but that can always play out if we continue to move up. So the 4 hour, we got a very big bounce here, and we have this 20 EMA rolling over, which most likely we're going to come up and test around here, which is around the 58.5 area. But it could be potentially coming back down for a double bottom here. We'll have to keep that in mind here, that it could sell off, come back down, either bounce off this 200 EMA at 56,786 or touch this trend line again, which would be that 58,525 roughly. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. It could be heading to run up. So I have these green lines here. I have these green lines here in the RSI below, and I've been trying to play these pretty well, and it's been working out. Obviously, the lower line isn't as isn't as good, but that's an area that, to me, if the RSI can bounce off of it, it's a bullish sign. And if the RSI breaks it, it's more of a bearish sign until we get back up in it. And usually when we do break it, because we've been breaking it a lot, we come down right below this dotted line or right on this dotted line of the RSI here at this 30-ish area, 29.67 to 30. And then we get a big bounce here, and usually a double bottom every time, whether it's a smaller wick down and then we run. But most of the time it's been a double. Right? So where are we right now? We came down. We didn't quite come down as low as the last time. We got bought up pretty quick, and now we're coming up. So the question is, are we going to come down and then bounce, or are we just going to V-shape and then bounce off this green trend line? That would be a bullish thing as well if we came up a little higher here, got rejected, then double bottomed off of that. So that's just something I'm watching personally. And then same with the top. Every time we've hit this upper line up here, it's been pretty good for me to sell up in this range here so far. So, the question is, are we going to continue to trend in here for a little while before we break it, or how is this going to play out? So obviously, with this 20 EMA rolling here, we've had this happen in the past where we spiked up to it and it was rolling, and then it ended up dropping us down. So, I have one more idea. If this isn't a bull flag here, I have one more potential thought here, because you guys know that I'm talking about how this is a massive rising channel that we're in, rising wedge. And we tested the bottom line of it here, 2 touch points on it. So that shows pretty decent that this is definitely a support, an upper sloping support line. And same with this upper trend line here. We touched it twice. So in my opinion, it looks like, since we're rolling over here, even if we chop around in here a little bit, it almost looks to me like it wants to come down and potentially test this lower line here. And that would be potentially a nice double bottom off of this lower line. So that lower line right now, as well as the 100 EMA on the 4 hour, is right around 5,500, 530. So if we do roll over and we tap off of this, even if we wick below it to this 54.1, roughly I'm looking for support on top of here and one more big bounce. Now, if we do actually get that area, now I'm not saying we have to come all the way down there, of course. This could easily just bounce off of there. But for now, I'm watching it as a potential of it going like something like this. And if we did something like that, then you could see a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder, and that could create a big inverse head and shoulder here. So, that's kind of the ideas that I have right now. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to play out, but so far we're getting bounces in areas that I was kind of expecting we would get bounces. So, to me, so far, with these two touches that we did get off of this lower bull flag potential, and this upper resistance is working out pretty nicely, that it's very possible that we could just trend in here for a little while. But, I'm not 100% sure where it's going to go. I'm just watching this lower support, and I'm watching this upper resistance. So that's kind of where I'm at. This one's at 59,400. So if we can actually, even if we go sideways in this upper box again, if we can get above here and start maintaining support above this 59.4, that would be absolutely bullish. So you can see, just real quick before I switch to the next thing, we've gotten 4-hourly closes above, but the second one was a spinning top here, and then we kind of had this other spinning top, and then we dipped. So we want to see like a nice big fat candle like this, and then another candle above it closed with some good volume coming in before we can call that a confirmation. So just keep that all in mind there too. And then same with this lower trend line. If we break this 56,500 and we wick down and we end up getting rejected, then we could be looking for some lower levels. So depending on if you're playing shorts or if you're playing longs or whatever, these are some decent areas here to pay attention to. So anyway, that's it for that. So then the next thing I wanted to look at really quickly is Bitcoin Cash, because a few things happened exactly how we expected. So, with my videos that we talked about this area, and I'm not going to go over it too much because I have 5 videos on it, so you guys can look back. But this was an area we were expecting a rejection, and we were expecting that this 550 wasn't going to be able to hold here, or 567, because it never really did. If you look back in the past, see it doesn't hold there, can't hold there, can't hold there, can't, when it blasts through it, it took off. And that's kind of how it's been with Bitcoin Cash. And that might even, I didn't look, but let me look at the weekly. That might even have gone back as far as back in 2017 when we wicked all the way to 2,700. Let's see what happened here. Well, it pretty much just ran up through it, right? It didn't even, it back tested this blue line and it just took off. So, and then when it came back down, it might have pretty much bounced off this 582. So that's going to be something to think about too. But either way, when it tried to hold this, I don't even know where it is. It's kind of hard to tell over in this area because those are all weekly candles. Maybe if we look at the daily, it'll show us a little better quickly. I don't know. Either way, I don't want to make this video too long looking through that. I'll be more prepared for that. So, needless to say, looking at BCH here, if we got rid of some of these other trend lines that I have here, right, you can see that it looks like we're in a very big ascending triangle, which is a bullish pattern. Now, as of right now, we've had one touch point off this lower line, another touch point off this lower line. So, excuse me, we've blasted up, had a fake breakout, came all the way back in, came up, got resistance on this 595 again, then we dropped, touched this lower trend line, came up, got resistance on the 600 again, and now it looks like we could be coming down. So, we have to be cautious, as I've said. Now, it's possible that we're creating this falling wedge here, and we could potentially get a break out of this and start running from here, right? But on the negative side, we could be having some action here if Bitcoin decides to break down to that lower trend line of its rising channel there, a rising wedge. We could be coming back down to test this 462 again, which would be the lower support down here. And even with that being said, it would still be very, very bullish, and it's something we want to keep in mind because you know how crypto can be. it can go all the way up and blast off, or it can come all the way down and break down. So if this decided to break down and bounce off of here, then the next run, in my opinion, would be the breakout run. So we want to keep this level in mind, depending on where it is that it hits it. If it hits it, I'm not saying it's coming all the way down there, but I'm just keeping that in mind here, that it's possible that if we get rejected in this box area over and over and over, eventually we might have to come down here. And whether it's 470, somewhere between 470, but really that 470 to 460 area, I mean, it could come as low as 478. I mean, I know I have a 200 EMA at the 478, which might have moved up by now. It kind of did. It's 500 now. So it doesn't even have to come that low. It could come off this 200 EMA. But I just want to keep all of this in mind here, that if it decides that it's going to roll here and not break out, which I see it could break out, but we'll see, then, it could be coming all the way down here. But as of right now, to me, it looks like whether we bounce, we could just stay inside here too and bounce off of this 518 or bounce off of this 533 again. I'm not too sure. I'm not saying it's looking like it's coming down. I'm just giving some ideas so that if I don't make a video from now till then, we know what to expect and we won't be caught by surprise. So as of right now, it's holding this 550 level. And that's something that we've really haven't been able to do too often. So that was my initial bullish thought, was if we can continue to hold this level as support, then we can definitely get a big run up off here too. So that's another possibility. And I believe the breakout of this falling wedge here is a 611. So then breaking that 600 should put us on a pretty mean run if we can actually break it. And if we actually broke it like somewhere today, then we would almost be looking at coming up to test this upper line here of 630.50. So keep that in mind too, but with the exception of the 600 to 597 area being very, very, very strong resistance. So we'll have to see how that works out. But we're getting some decent volume, not too crazy, but some okay volume. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But we do know that when we make these type of patterns here, as you can see here, we had this bull flag here forming. We break out off the first bounce. And where are we now? The first bounce, and we're coming up. So are we going to break out of this first bounce? That's possible. And that would be if we can find some support on this 567 area. Then we could go long here again, which I did get stopped out of my initial play on this. And I talked about this 539 level being an area that I was going to put a stop loss. And I ended up closing my position right close to this 550 level. We had one more wick up to this 550 level after that video I made. And I did close it somewhere up in here in this candle. And then I put a buy order down here at my trendline support of this 524. So I rebought here with double the amount I did last time at 524. So just so you guys know, I talked about a possible wick down to this 524. Well, that's where I put my buy order in, and I got hit on that. And we ended up hitting 521.25 or something, somewhere a little lower than I expected, but hey, it worked out for me. I put that buy order there and got hit on that. So I took some profits from this, which I didn't take up here, but that's fine. And now I put another buy order here. So I raised my average a little bit. So now I have to put my stop loss where we are now at break even, or I could move it up here, but I might keep it at break even, or maybe like my 525 or something. Either way, pretty much break even. So now I'm going to play this pattern. Now, of course, you don't have to buy inside here, and you're not really supposed to buy inside here, right? And if we got a breakout of this area, that would be your confirmation, and you would probably buy here. But just so you know, you don't really have to buy here, but I just know these supports, so I decided to do that. All right, so let's go on to Dash real quick, and then I'll end this video. So Dash, I should have, I've made a video a while back, and unfortunately, I was very, very wrong here. And when I re-looked back, I said, "Oh shit, that was a bad time to get bullish here." And we were in this bear flag, and I believe I fucked up because I don't know if we were in this bear flag or if we were in this. Where we came down to 185. So I don't know if it was there but either way, The time when I was getting bullish was not a good time to get bullish, unfortunately. So I think I was talking about potentially coming down. I think we were in the 230s, and I was talking about coming down to the, I don't know, maybe it was here. I can't really remember. Or it was in here. Okay. So I think we were in here. It wasn't this one. This was when we first came down and touched this 185. Then we ran up. So I was talking about somewhere in here that we were looking like we were creating a nice big bull flag here. But until I started running some support resistance boxes and everything, after I made that video, I realized that we were actually trending below resistance here. So, I went, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have put that video out in time. But I just had this good feeling, and I just looked at all the indicators, and everything looked very, very bullish. So, we didn't catch the exact bottom here. I put a buy order in at 223, and I think it came down to 2 or 195 or something, whether it was in this or in this. But either way, it looked like a bull flag, and we had a breakdown, and then we ran up. So even with me buying around the area we talked about in that video, I'm still in a lot of profit right now. So, and now I drew out all of my support lines so that I could be prepared for this run up that we've had recently, and I would know what's going on, just like I did with Bitcoin Cash. So we got into this rising wedge, and we broke out, and we were testing this 250 again that we talked about in that video being very, very strong support. So when we looked like we were emming out here, I decided to put another buy order down to that 223 again. And where did we hit? We hit 221.10. And now I doubled up my position again. So now I still have my average around 223. And what did we get this morning at some point? A massive, massive run. So I had a target up here of 265, and we hit that so far. We're at 270. I think we went as high as 275 here. So if we zoom out a little bit, I think I have to move this over now because it's been a while. I have a resistance box up here, and it's a pretty good sizable resistance box, but I have a resistance of 300 and a resistance of 336. So, right now we have this massive volume, absolutely beautiful volume, but we're very, very overextended on the RSI. So one thing that I'm looking for personally, now that we're up in this level, I am going to move I don't know if I'm going to move I moved my stop loss up, yeah. I'm going to put it below this 200. So I'll probably put my stop loss now around like this 228 or something. But, if you were going to take some profits, this would be a good area to take some profits. And maybe if you can get to this 300, that would be another area to take some profits here. Because it could definitely come back down here and backtest this 249.91. And when it does that, or if it does that, we want to be holding somewhere in this level here. If it craps down and dumps, it could come all the way back down again. But that's something to keep in mind. But we have this 250 area is going to be one of those areas. If we look back, let me go to the 4 hour, see if we can see. This 250 area, where were we here? 250. We bounced up here to about 288, to 300. We came down. We couldn't hold 250. We crapshooted all the way down to 193. And then we blasted right through it. Crapshooted off of that again. Came down, couldn't hold that 250. Came down to 233. We blasted up, touched this 336 to 333. We crapshooted down. We couldn't hold that 250 again. Came up, blasted up to 265. Came down, couldn't hold that 250 again. Came all the way down. So you see what I'm saying? So just like Bitcoin Cash with the 600 level, this 250 was a very, very hard place for it to hold support and a very, very hard place for it to get above. So we did get above. So now the question is, can we come down and hold this? Probably not, but if we can, it'll be very bullish. If we can't, we can expect that it might come down to this 230 area as low as 223 to 218. But we'll have to see how it goes. Right now it looks very bullish, but at the same time, on this 4 hour here, we are starting to get up in this area where it likes to sell off. It could come up a little higher here, which could tap that 300, but just be very cautious when it comes back down. And if it can come back down and start flagging out on top of this area, then I'll put in another big buy order. If not, then I'll be looking for something down in here. And if we do hit that 300, at that point, I might move my stop loss up into this 240 level. We'll have to see, just to lock in some guaranteed profits in case we crapshoot down again. So anyway, these are my 3 updates on these 3, and I hope you guys like this. Please hit the like button. Peace.